Good morning, everybody, and it's welcome to week 2 of our 30 Days to Better Writing Habits. Now, last week was all about getting started and showing up at the desk bum on seat or bum on chair. And this week it's more about deliberate practice. Okay, this time we're getting serious. For the next week, we want to measure our success, and how that measuring tool looks is up to you. But I've been reading a guy this morning called James Clear, and he's a specialist in, I guess, habits, and he often talks about deliberate practice. So I've stolen my title from him today. But basically, what he says, you should measure backwards instead of forwards, and I thought that was a really interesting exercise for us. Looking backwards over the last week, where we're getting started and trying to organise ourselves and sitting at our desks every day and writing some words, how did we go? So I had a look at my own practice because that I thought, I'll be transparent. And I thought, yes, I wrote every day, but some days I wrote more than others. And it was a bit of a hodgepodge. It wasn't deliberate. Like I'd say, oh, I've got to do my words, and I'd race around and I'd do them. And I'd throw them on the page so that I could tell you that I'd done them. But there was no deliberate set time where I put aside and said, this is my writing. The last few days I actually started to do what I said I was going to do and get up first thing in the morning and allocate those first couple of hours to my writing practice. And I suppose that's moving into that habit forming phase where now I know for those first couple of hours, this is where I've got to be and this is what I'm going to do. And of course I signed up for my friend's million word challenge, which should be very, very interesting to see if we actually make it. But even signing up for that challenge, even turning up here every day, this morning I've made myself a spreadsheet, and it's really interesting. I've got a series of 3 little novellas that I want to put out, and I know how many words I need to write each day to get those 3 novellas out. Now, a week ago I was all over the place, but already after only 1 week, I've got some concrete goals. I've got some habits in place to make those goals a reality. And reading James Clear this morning, he talked about the 1% rule. And the 1% rule is that you just fine tune everything you're doing by 1%. So if you say you're going to be in your study at 7 o'clock, you actually be there and ready to work at 7 o'clock, whereas maybe you might get here at 7 o'clock, and if you're like me, you pat the cat and you clear your desk and you do a bit of Facebook and you do all those sorts of things. You actually lose an hour of your work before you start. So I can very easily see how I could shave 1% or 10 off that little habit by simply just getting here, putting my cup of Milo down and starting writing. So I thought that was really interesting, and then you can apply that to other parts of your life, making sure that your diet is a little bit more fine-tuned. So I know when I was looking at Fit and 50 Plus, just the habit of having a healthy breakfast every day, which I've been skipping for years, makes that little bit of a difference. And exercise I haven't quite got under control yet, but it'll happen because this month I'm focusing on my writing habit. And I'm interested to hear from you whether it's making a difference for you, turning up every day. This week we're going to work at turning up deliberately every day and setting down and saying, I will achieve this, and this is the most important thing, and then measuring it by saying, what worked for me last week? What can I change, and what can I put into practice in this next week to give myself the best chance of success? And I've always been one that I look at what I've done the night before, and so that I know the first thing I'm going to do the next morning when I get up is this, this, and this, and then I kick into my business day, and that's why my writing time is at the morning. The other thing is to avoid the tiny losses. Now, I thought that was interesting because I know several times this week I didn't make the word count that I'd set for myself, and I thought, oh, that's all right, I've still turned up, that's okay. But apparently that's not a very good way to go, that I should be pushing those boundaries a little bit harder and not going backwards. So this next week I've got the spreadsheet. I'm going to be more deliberate in what I'm doing. So last week turning up, this week deliberate practice. I can't wait to see what week 3 is going to bring us. But hopefully, I think by the end of that month, we're going to see some real results. And I didn't even think that would be possible when I started this 30 days. I thought it was just something that would get us sitting down and doing some work. But I can certainly see how my attitude has changed over the last week, and I'd be interested to hear if your attitude's changed a little bit as well. So look backwards, measure what you did last week, measure your successes, cut down those losses by 1%, improve, fine-tune, tiny steps, all those little things. And let's set about this next week and see how we can move forward again. Okay, remember, deliberate practice equals being purposeful and systematic. And I thought, wow, they're words that I never thought I'd use in my world. But I love the idea of being systematic because I really want this to work, and I hope that you do as well. Go along and have a look at James Clear at jamesclear.com. He's an American fellow, and he's got some really great stuff on there. Also, don't forget to download your writing guides writing guidelines, the voices in your head, because we all know they exist, and they sometimes take over as well. So that's at writerontheroad.com. Okay, see you tomorrow. Happy writing.